This video will show you how to make this lovely little heart, which is really simple to make and you only need a few materials. It is a design by Tilda, which is a very popular designer, and she has created many books, including this one, which is what this project is from. All you need to make this heart is a few materials, including some background fabric, some other Tilda fabrics and ribbons, a simple needle and thread, and some stuffing. All the templates you need and all the instructions are featured in this book, but you can copy these instructions too. These strips need to be about 3 to 4 centimetres wide and long enough to fit across the whole of your background fabric. Once you've done that, you need to iron down the edges so it makes it nice and neat. This is really simple, just fold them down and just press them with an iron. Once you've done that, you will then have all your strips of fabric that look lovely and neat with the edges folded down and ready to pin onto your background fabric. Put these with your ribbon as well and set them to one side. So the next step is to place one part of your background fabric and start to pin on your scrap fabric strips, like so. All you need to do is get some pins and pin them to your fabric in a straight line. Do this with all your strips of fabric and putting the ribbon in between each one, like so. And the next step will be to sew these onto your background fabric using a machine or hand sewing. The next step is to sew on your strips onto your background fabric using a sewing machine, although you can do this by hand if you prefer. So as you sew along, make sure you remove your pins. You need to sew both edges of your strips onto your fabric so that they fit. So once you've done one edge, place it back under your sewing machine and do along the other edge. There, when you've done one strip, then it's then easy to sew the other strips onto the pieces of fabric. So just place them on top and pin them again and then sew them on. Now you need to make your heart template and transfer it onto a plain piece of paper and then cut it out. Like so. So, the next step will be to place your template heart, which I've just drawn, onto a plain piece of paper and place them on top of both pieces of fabric. So, the piece with your strips on, place that on top of the other piece so both sides are facing. Place your heart on top so the strips are going horizontally across the heart. Then pin on your template. So your pins are going through both pieces of fabric. This is just to hold the template in place so you can cut out your heart shapes. So it doesn't need to be very neat. So once you've done that, you then cut out your heart. Just cut around your template. You may need some sharp scissors to do this to get through all the layers of fabric. When you've done that, you can then remove your template. So you just have your two hearts facing each other. The next thing to do will be to sew up around the edges using your sewing machine or hand sewing, but leaving a 2-inch gap just so you can put the stuffing in. Before you sew your hearts together, so you've got right sides facing each other, you need to put a piece of ribbon in between both bits of fabric. This will be the hanging section for your heart. So you need to have the ends of your ribbon, the rough ends, hanging out. So in between both pieces of fabric, put a loop. Can you see that? Put a loop there, place it down in between both fabric and sandwich it in. Once you've done that, pin around your heart to hold it in place while you're sewing it together. Don't forget, when you sew on the sewing machine, make sure you remove the pins, otherwise you can damage your sewing machine. So like so. So you've got the ends of your ribbon poking out there. So next step is to sew your heart together. Okay, now you just need to sew around your heart, but make sure you leave a gap so you can stuff your heart together. Going round corners can be slightly tricky, so make sure you do this slowly. You may need to adjust the foot to allow it to go around corners. This is where you will leave a gap. As you will see, leaving a gap there just so you can put the stuffing in. Just sew a little bit up towards the bottom, like so. Then remove your heart from the sewing machine, and the next stage will be to stuff your heart. So this is what your heart will look like once you've sewn around all the edges. Don't forget though, you needed to leave a gap so you can put the stuffing in. So the next step is to turn your heart the right way round. Just turn it inside out. You can always pull on the ribbon to help. Like so. If you need, sometimes a pencil is handy to push out the bottom of your heart. So there you go, there's your heart, and then you just need to stuff it with your stuffing. As much as you can fit in, it makes the heart look much more neater. You can use wadding for this, just pull the wadding apart and stuff it in. Make sure you push it up into the top of the heart. And fill it fully. Like so. You can always move it around a bit so it fits nicely. In the next section, all you need to do then is to sew up the gap. To do this, you just need a simple needle and thread. I'm going to use a red cotton here just so you can see it's clear. I use a back stitch for this. once you've sewn up the seam on the side, the gap in the heart, your heart is completed. It looks lovely and you can hang it anywhere and make a great gift for somebody. For more projects like this and for full instructions on how to make this heart, check out Tilda's new book. Check out Tilda's book, Tilda's Summer Ideas. And as you can see, all the templates are in the back of the book.